this is a video that I've wanted to make for a pretty long freaking time. And it's just one of those things that I put off, and I never knew how to put it together. But I think I've decided that the best thing for me to do is just talk it out and just tell you guys what I've been thinking. So, in my opinion, the seasons and Overwatch in general has gotten more and more toxic since the game came out. And I'm saying that from my perspective, my point of view. I could be wrong about that, but honestly, I think most of you guys probably agree with me. And just to try and make this video easier to explain, I do want to give a quick story time and a quick explanation of where this idea came from. So, I remember a long time ago, I was in a competitive game on Volskaya Industries just after the Mercy changes first came out, and there were 4 people in the team chat. And I don't need to go into all the details about why they were being toxic or whatever, but basically I ended up playing DPS because these guys would not let me play Mercy, and I thought I was doing pretty well, but they decided to trash talk and be super toxic. And when I say toxic, I mean like, by the end of the game they were calling me a slut and lots of horrible names and just things that you really don't want to be hearing when you're playing this game, especially if they're aimed at you. And I remember about halfway through this game, they also decided to talk trash on somebody else in the team chat. And I remember defending this guy. For some reason I just decided, you know, okay, talk trash on me, but don't talk trash on this other guy. I don't know, I was just feeling nice that day. And I started defending him, and I was telling him, hey, you know, I think you're doing fine. But he didn't really say much, and I knew he had a mic, and I knew he was in the voice channel. But by the time the game ended, like I said, these guys were calling me some really disgusting, sexist names. And I remember, and guys, please don't judge me for this, I try to be as positive as I can in this game, but by the time those 2 guys left the voice channel, I broke down, and I started crying, and I remember that the other guy who I had defended earlier on was still in the team chat. And guys, don't hate me. But basically what happened is I was furious with this guy. And I know if I was gonna be furious, it should have been at those 2 toxic guys. But I was furious at this guy because he stood by and listened to those guys throw abuse at me. And he listened to it, and he decided to say nothing. And I knew he had a mic. I had heard him talking at the beginning of the game when it wasn't toxic yet. I heard him talking, so I knew he had a mic, and I knew he hadn't left the voice channel because I would have seen it. I ended up screaming at him, telling him, I defended you, I helped you, I tried to help you, and you're just gonna sit by and hear these guys call me a slut and not say anything. And he could tell that I was crying and I was upset, and I'm the kind of person who, when I get angry, I start crying even more, so it was really, really messy, and oh, it was terrible. But this guy ended up being like pretty nice, and he messaged me later and he was like, hey, it's just a game, don't worry about it, I'm sorry. But the reason I'm telling this story, and I promise I don't make a habit of screaming at people in Overwatch or in life, but for some reason on this day, I think I just didn't want to be messed with, and I was just furious that this guy sat by and listened to those guys throw abuse at me. But the idea or the story behind this video is that I really want to send out a plea not to toxic gamers, because in my opinion, if you're a toxic gamer or a rude person in general, I think you have to go on that journey yourself and figure out how to fix that and change, basically. It's something that I don't think you can just tell somebody to stop being toxic. I don't think it works, at least most of the time it doesn't work. This video is more aimed at, you know, your normal everyday gamer, somebody who isn't toxic, you're pretty friendly, even if you're really, really nice. This is kind of a plea, I suppose, me down on my knees begging, please, 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 next time you see somebody being toxic, somebody being, you know, really rude, throwing horrible words around, horrible offensive terms around, even if they're not aimed at you, please just do something about it. Like, I'm not saying you have to go up to the person or go up to them, but I'm not saying you have to confront the person head on, but you can report them using the report system. You can talk to maybe, and I don't want to say victim, but I suppose that's what it is. You can speak to the victim afterwards, the victim of the toxicity, and tell them, hey, I heard what was happening. I'm sorry I didn't intervene, but I just wanted to say, like, not everyone's like that. I thought you did good. Don't worry about it. Just anything. Because sure, you know, the victim, I'm saying victim in quotation marks, but I shouldn't, because that you can be a victim of anything bad. So the victim of the toxicity, maybe they didn't care, maybe they were laughing at it, maybe they couldn't care less, but they also could be really, really upset about it. And I just feel like it doesn't take that much effort to reach out to someone and say, hey, it's okay, don't worry about it. Like, hey, it's just a game. Hey, those guys were rude, just ignore them. And just report. You don't know how many times I've had to like remind somebody on my team to report somebody who was being toxic. And I've actually heard people say, oh no, it's fine. Oh no, the troll was on the other team, so I won't report them. No, I'm not going to report him because he wasn't being toxic to me. That's not how it works. Like, I'm sorry, but if you think that way, I just don't understand where you're coming from. If somebody's toxic, report them. Maybe they're just having a bad day. Then I guess they'll only get reports for that day and they won't get banned. But if you're being toxic enough for enough people to report you, you're going to be banned and you're not going to be able to do that anymore, as far as I'm aware. So there's just no reason not to report somebody for being toxic. I'm sorry if you disagree with me, but you know, one of the great benefits of being a YouTuber is that I can share my opinion. I'm getting too heated, but basically the idea behind this video is that I really am asking you guys, next time you see toxicity, please do something about it. Doesn't mean you have to be confrontational and argumentative, it just means do anything you can to help the victim, or report the negative or toxic person, or maybe you can confront them in a adult, mature manner, in a friendly manner. Maybe you can confront them. But please don't just sit by and do anything. Even if you don't use a mic, there's always something that you can do. So, yeah, that's basically the idea of this video. That's the whole reason I wanted to make it. I hope you guys don't judge me for making videos like this. I know, you know, I may have a bit of a reputation by now for being kind of an Overwatch or gaming hippie or something, but toxicity just gets to me, and for some reason the people who ignore it get to me even more. So I'm not trying to say that if you're somebody who has ignored it, you're just as bad, but in my opinion, it's almost as bad, and that's something I'm also guilty of. But I don't see how we're going to make the Overwatch community or the gaming community any better by just ignoring it. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this weird ranty type video, and I will see you guys in the next one.